So the next question that we should ask ourselves is, how do I make it so that, what can I think about so that this jump from here to here is easier? Because for some of us, man, I don't want to do it. I'm scared to death of most everything. So I want to go through some things that I have learned that if you have these things in mind, this isn't so tough. This is a lot easier. And there's a few principles that if we keep in mind, then that's the case. If I were to ask you, take 2 buckets, or to take as many buckets as you need, but if I were to ask you, go around the world and find all the fear that you could find. You know, like instead of rocks, I want you to find fear. And I want you to fill these buckets with fear. How full would these buckets be?
I feel like they would be overflowing.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Where would I find? I said, if there were, instead of rocks, which I could put in, where's the fear that I could put in them? Where is that? How would I put that in a bucket? The point that I'm trying to make here, that sounds kind of strange, but fear is not, the first principle that we have to understand is things out there aren't inherently fearful. Just like, remember we said no event is inherently stressful? I don't think events are also inherently fearful. We asked, we mentioned last time or earlier, we said, the number 1 social fear in the country is what? Public speaking, right? Is there anything inherently fearful in public speaking? No. It's just a series of actions that a person takes. There's nothing that universally causes everyone to have fear who does it. And I can't think of anything that does. Can you? That whoever experiences it is going to be afraid of it. Or whoever's thinking about it is going to be afraid of it.
I mentioned this to a couple of girls before class. I saw a cartoon one time of people standing in line waiting for their turn at the guillotine. And one guy turns to the other and he says, you know, they say public speaking causes more fear than anything. But he says, this has got to fit in there somewhere.
This is worse. What is it about the guillotine that might be fearful? I would say, death, we could easily go to death and say, is that inherently fearful? I know plenty of people, my grandpa was one, who he had the belief that life continues, and he also had his wife had died some years before. He was in his mid-90s, and he had the belief, whether it was true or not, I don't know for sure, but he had the belief that when he passed on, he didn't believe that death ended life, that when he passed on, that he was going to get to be with his wife again. Now, I don't know for sure if that's true or not, but that belief made it so that the pain of death wasn't a thing to be afraid of for him. He had no fear of death. He actually he was kind of ticked off every day that he woke up and he was still alive. Because he was just kind of existing and his health was getting worse and worse. It wasn't a fun ride. The fun of the ride had finished. In the guillotine example, I can see the pain that would last about that long, I would be afraid of. But I would go, then it's over. I can understand that part, if there's a real pain. But most of the things that we experience, day-to-day life, there's not a real pain.